Welcome to OState Daily. Casey Porter here. So glad you decided to tune in. Hey, I'm going to head to the baseball scrimmage today, so thought I'd get a live show. And I know most people in Oklahoma are at church right now, so my timing's not great, especially in Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, that kind of thing. But hey, that's okay. That's the time that I have, and so that's the time that we're going to go on the air. And so, hey, you can watch this video anytime you want. You don't have to be a part of the live show. So that's where we're at right now. And so, hey, actually, my mouse is not working right now, so let me get this working just for a second here, and then we will get going. Okay, so we're going to talk about the football game yesterday. We're going to cover the baseball scrimmage. We talked about the Jalen Montanati commitment the other day. So today is going to be mainly just kind of random thoughts that are going through my head. I have not rewatched the football game. I don't think I probably will. I have not broke it down like sometimes I do in terms of the X's and O's of how the game played out. So these are going to be random thoughts that just kind of came to my head as the game went along. Hey, some of them may be wrong. Some of them may be right. I probably will never be able to prove that either way. But again, either way, these are my thoughts. So the first thing that I wanted to say about the football team yesterday, about the game yesterday, is that I am super, super, super proud of the tone and the direction that Doug Meacham gave this group yesterday. They obviously they played yesterday to prove a point. Now, whatever that point may be, whether that be, hey, prove a point that they love their former coach and Coach Gundy, and they want to do that for him, if it's college try for him, or if it could be a combination of that and, hey, we love Coach Gundy, we also love Coach Meacham and the coaches we're playing for, or it could just be simple pride. If you're a competitor and you show up on a Saturday and people have been challenging your manhood and telling you how bad you suck, sometimes you just want to respond to that. And likely, to be honest with you, especially when you're considering, 100 people or so in your program, it's likely a combination of all three of those things. But whatever it may be, there's a term that you call that I know baseball teams use a lot because baseball's so much about the process. Football is basically all results because you only have 12 games. And at a place like OSU, one game in your regular season can determine, and it's not going to be this year, but in certain years, well, we saw it in Iowa State, in 2011. One game can derail your entire season in terms of your overall goals of playing for a national title. So football, basically, once you start the regular season, has almost no process aspect to it at all. Baseball, the entire regular season, especially minor leagues, which I cover a lot of in the Dodger system, is almost all about the process. So I say that to say, I think Oklahoma State football right now, we're not going to win a whole lot of games, although there are winnable games moving forward. We are in process mode. And when I say process mode, we're just trying to get better. We're trying to make it look like a better product on the field. We're trying to make it look like something that will give fans hope. And more than that, reason to continue to come to games so we can give Oklahoma State football, I'm going to use this word. This is a very important word to me. I think this is the word that we as fans need to concentrate on. So we can give Oklahoma State football a good presentation. To me, the rest of this year is all about presentation. And I think even the most negative, I think even the most hardcore fans of Gundy, I think even Coach Gundy, I should say, let me give him his proper respect. I think even the fans, like my co-host Chase Witwiska, who just don't think that Oklahoma State handled this situation in the right manner in any way, shape, or form. I think all of those people, the most hardcore of all of those people, would have to agree that the presentation of Oklahoma State football yesterday was light years better than it has been since basically the Tulsa game this time last year, or even before this time last year. Again, the results are not what we want as Oklahoma State fans. We are not in this for moral victories, okay? But it is what it is. I mean, you can't get blood out of a turnip. And to be honest with you, with the way that I actually left yesterday, and I'm going to be very, very, very blunt about this. This may piss some people off. This may actually even make some some hardcore Gundy supporters say, screw this channel. Okay, that's fine. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope we're all open-minded enough to be able to handle other people's opinions, even if they are given in a very direct manner. The emotions that I left yesterday's game with were even more pissed at Coach Gundy about the way that he has left this program, because yesterday's presentation, I felt like, was just about as good offensively as Oklahoma State can give right now. Hey, the play calling, the creativity, the execution, I thought all was just about as good as anybody could have expected. The defense, that's an entirely different story. We'll get into that here in a minute. That's an entirely different deal. But from an offensive perspective, which is what this program has been built on under Coach Gundy, it was as good of a presentation as you could possibly give, in my opinion. And still in the second half, we had 3 or 4 big-time 3-and-outs. We had empty possessions, less than 100 yards, I believe, in the second half. And so when I kind of look back at that, and my emotions of that, and I think about, hey, really, I feel like everybody on the Oklahoma State sideline did just about everything they could to make this as good as it could be as far as the offense goes, and we still came up that short. That just tells me that this roster just isn't anywhere as close to what anybody wanted it to be. And that 100%, 1,000%, 10,000%, all, capital A-L-L, all falls on the shoulders of Coach Gundy. Coach Gundy left this program an absolute hot mess. And to be honest with you, from a talent perspective, as I left yesterday, because going into yesterday, I was thinking, well, you know what? Hey, we get the ball in the right playmakers' hands. We do this, we do that. Hey, we're a lot closer. It's never as bad as it seems. And, it's never as good as it seems too, but it's never as bad as it seems. Hey, you talk about 5 or 6 plays here or there. You kind of go into that game with maybe the blind faith that, hey, if we start getting the ball in the right playmakers' hands, if we start calling the right plays, this offense can turn on a dime and turn back into at least somewhat of what we've expected from Oklahoma State offenses over the past 20 years or whatever it may be. And even under Coach Miles, different types of offenses, but those offenses still were very good. And you leave going, yeah, well, we fired all our bullets. Yeah, well, we threw the kitchen sink at it. And yes, still the second half sucked. And yes, we were still 18 points below losing. We were only 3 points, so as good as it went offensively in the first half, we still were 3 points away from not covering the spread, just because we are that depleted from a talent perspective on a roster. And that right there, okay, you can disagree, that's fine. That right there really pisses me off about the job that Coach Gundy has done in the last year or so building a roster, and the way that, hey, you can say, hey, he was going to write the course this or that. You cannot deny the fact that this roster is just extremely deficient, and that is 100% on Coach Gundy's shoulders. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about that. That's it, okay? Beyond that, Coach Meacham, congratulations. You put together a very creative, very fun, very good game plan that got the players excited. It got me excited. I'm sure it got all of the fans excited. Yes, I agree, Wes. You can't bring in a whole new staff, 60 new kids, and just work all of a sudden. It did yesterday, okay? They ran all these trick plays. They had 2 different quarterbacks running. They did all this different stuff. I don't buy that, okay? Football is football. It's not like these guys have never played football, okay? Shamar Rigby knows what a slant looks like, okay? They know what a sluggo is. They know what a fade is. They know what cover 2 is, okay? It's not that complicated to put together an offense that can function. Zane Flores, and here's another thing, okay? Here's another aspect of this that I don't buy, Wes, and I don't mean to be coming at you, but this is your comment here. And this is the crap just the excuses that I hear out of this program. Zane Flores has been at Oklahoma State for 3 years. Gavin Freeman's been at Oklahoma State for a couple of years now. Okay, Rodney Fields has been at Oklahoma State for a couple of years. All right, Trent Howland has been at Oklahoma State for a couple of years. All right. And then Sam Jackson the fifth, he has been in college football since I think like 1978. Okay. This guy knows what football looks like. This garbage about, hey, we're inexperienced or this or that, throw that out the window, man. And then also, I'll say that too, because Tulsa did the same damn thing, okay? They had a backup quarterback, and they did not look like they missed a beat. So you can want to use the excuse of, hey, we had 60 new players, this or that. Maybe, okay, but look, okay, so the guys that are getting beat on defense, okay, those are guys that have been at Oklahoma State for a long time. These aren't, David Kabongo, both of the Smiths, all of those guys. Those guys have been here for a long time. Aiden Kelly up front. So when you want to look at the run game that got it stuffed down their throat yesterday, Aiden Kelly, Jaleel Johnson, Iman Oates, okay, all of these guys, they were here last year. Now, if you want to say linebackers with Brian McCoy, here's another example that goes against that. Brian McCoy is one of the leading tacklers in the United States of America. He wasn't here last year. So if you go by hey, they're trying to get everything put together because they weren't, then why is Brian McCoy having so much success and the guys that were here last year aren't? So that's just an excuse. That's, part of the process, whatever. Yesterday blew that out of the water. Because if it is, hey, we need to mesh because we have all these new guys, all this and that, then how in the hell can you run these trick plays and be so good at it? Whenever basically, you find out on Tuesday that your head coach gets fired, and literally in one day you can put all this offense in and then go run it and make it look just basically seamless and spotless. So I'm not on that bandwagon. As a matter of fact, if you can't tell, that type of excuse making just pisses me off because it's just not absolutely a fact. Everybody in college football is dealing with these same issues. Everybody is. Okay, Baylor loses Blake Shapen. You know what they do? They go get Sawyer Robertson, and they're better than OSU. So point blank, Oklahoma State has to go get better players. They have to get a better roster, and they have to have more talent on the field. And then whoever the next coach is has to have a no excuses approach and just go get it done like everybody else is. And then, yeah, hey, maybe if you can, like Iowa State has kept Rocco Beck and you can build around a centerpiece type quarterback, that would be fantastic too. But again, Zane Flores has been here for 3 years. He knows how to play offense. He knows this system in particular. They're not reinventing the wheel, okay? They're running inside zone. The major run play they ran yesterday is a stretch play, okay? I mean, you telling me that Zane Flores doesn't know how to hand the ball off? You telling me offensive linemen don't know how to block stretch? You learn how to block outside zone when you're in first grade, okay? That has nothing to do with being a new player to a system. If a outside zone play doesn't work, that has nothing to do with not having experience in the program. If you can't complete a slant pass, if you can't complete, the first down long balls, okay? That's a 9 route or whatever it may be. It's a go route or it's a deep fade, whatever you want to call it. That has nothing to do with not being at Oklahoma State. That has to do with the fact that our receivers don't create separation and Zane Flores doesn't throw a great deep ball. That has nothing to do with not being here. That has to do with the fact that at this moment, we don't have a Des Bryant. We don't have a Tylan Wallace. We don't have a James Washington. We don't have a Hartley Dykes, who, by the way, that was awesome to see him. If you didn't get to check out the Tom Dorado interviews with Hartley Dykes, those were awesome on Triple Play Sports. They did such a wonderful job, So, anyways, that's just kind of where I'm at. So those were the raw emotions. That super proud of the presentation of Oklahoma State. Super proud of Doug Meacham. His post-game comments in terms of, it was refreshing to hear how excited he was. I love the term that he used, springboard, so it's not like, hey, we're glad that we lost, but it's like, hey, you have to create a starting point to start getting better at, because before Saturday, Oklahoma State had not hit bottom yet, okay? So hopefully what Coach Meacham has done for this program is he has bottomed it out, and now he is starting to bring it back up in the right direction. That's all we wanted to see as OSU fans. And, well, no, it's not all we wanted to see. That's a stupid thing to say. But it at least is the very first part of the process that we wanted to see start taking place is, hey, can we at least stop sinking to the bottom and at least start working our way back up to the top? And I think we saw that yesterday. Now, I'll say this, okay? The play calling in the second half was not good, okay? Throwing the ball deep on first down, I love throwing the ball deep on first down, especially when your offensive line isn't great. And here's why. On first down, that's a down to where the defense, typically speaking, is in a run set type of mind. And when I say that is, they're not going to like blitz a safety or blitz a corner or blitz a linebacker and a safety. They're going to typically play more straight up. They're going to play it to where they can defend both the run and the pass. And because of that, all you got to do is block the guys up front. You're probably not going to get a blitz. And as long as you do that, you're going to give your quarterback a clean pocket. So, having said that, I think what throwing the ball deep on first down does for you is that it gives the quarterback time to actually get a deep ball off. Whereas if you wait till it's second down and 12 or third down or whatever it may be, now you're dealing with a defensive coordinator that's guessing pass, and so they're blitzing or they're stunning or doing whatever they need to do to get pressure on the quarterback. So I thought it was a great idea by Coach Meacham to throw deep balls on first down in the second half to give Zane Flores actually the time that he needed to get the ball off. But I'll say this, the second down play sucked, man. I mean, so here, the 3 and outs, I mean, you throw a deep ball, which with the receivers, okay, if you have Tylan Wallace, if you have James Washington, if you have Dez Bryant, if you have, even a Marcel Aitman or whoever some of these guys are that were just great at going and getting the deep ball and high pointing and out jumping people and catching the ball at the highest. If you have those guys, okay, we've seen so many times those guys either get a pass interference call, which we saw some yesterday, and or they just catch the ball. If you have those guys, maybe it's a higher percentage play. But with the receivers we have right now, even Terrell Davis, who's pretty good at going deep, he's not very big, and he doesn't typically he's not to the point now where he's just beating good Division I corners on a consistent basis that he can just go make a play. It kind of has to be schemed into, hey, the defense is looking for this, therefore we can kind of surprise them a little bit. Terrell Davis can get behind the defense as long as they make a good throw. We can complete something, right? That's kind of where he's at, in my opinion. So we don't have that one guy that can take that long ball and make it a higher percentage completion, ability. So we kind of have to scheme it up. And so you throw a low percentage long ball on first down to stretch the defense, which I'm okay with. The second down calls in the second half were pitiful. I mean, it was a long ball and then outside zone on second down. Long ball, outside zone on second down, and all of a sudden it's third down and 9, and now you have an offensive line that's not great. Baylor knows you're going to throw the ball. Now they're going to dial it up. They love that twist game up front. They're going to get pressure on Zane Flores, and then he's going to have to get the ball out of his hands early, which means if Zane Flores has to get the ball out of his hands early, guess what has to happen with your receivers? They don't have time to let the scheme of the play make themselves get open. They now have to just beat their defender, and our receivers are not good enough just to one-on-one in the first 2.5 seconds of a play go beat a defender. So if you're going to run the ball on second down and 10 after you threw a long ball, which was a low percentage pass on first down, and make it third down and long, Oklahoma State is going to be punting the ball over and over and over and over again. That was pitiful. Okay, that part of the playbook, absolutely pitiful. So we kind of went from, hey, we sat down throughout the week and we drew up a bunch of fun trick plays. And then as soon as we ran out of these trick plays that we drew up, once we were in the game and trying to figure out what we could do as an offense beyond our trick plays, we went right back to just calling pitiful offense, okay? Throwing the ball deep on first down, outside zone on second down, third and 10, hurried up quarterback, throw the ball away, punt, and now here we are. The RPO to Shamar Rigby was a nice play. I'll give Oklahoma State credit for that. And then also, but I'll say this, okay? That's the negative aspect of what I saw from our offense yesterday. And I address that because if OSU wants to win any games, okay, they have no margin for error. You can't have 3 or 4 possessions where the play calling is pathetic, which those possessions were, throwing the ball deep and then running outside zone on second down and then trying to throw on third and long. That's pathetic for this offense. They're not going to do it. And I just explained, at least consistently, they're not. And we got lucky that Rodney Fields just went and made a play on that screen play on third and long. That was good. But then we went right back to just not calling plays that are conducive for this type of talent to be able to move the ball. So I say all that. You might say, hey, well, why are you being so negative on a day where everything looked better? Hey, I've given credit for that. But here's the main reason. This team has zero margin for error. So what has to happen for Oklahoma State to win games, they're going to have to do it through their offense because that defense is pitiful, okay? Just point blank pitiful. And so they can't have empty possessions, and they certainly can't have empty possessions because the offensive play calling is terrible, which is what happened in the second half. So if you want to win games, you got to be able to figure out how to have possessions beyond the trick plays that you drew up during the week that can continue to move the ball for this offense. So what I'm saying here is the down-to-down aspect, beyond all the trick plays, of this offense has to get more creative. You have to be more creative than throwing deep balls on first down, running outside zone on second down, and then trying to throw a ball on third down when you know the quarterback's going to get pressured. So the goal moving forward, and Coach Meacham is totally capable of this, I just think he had to spend so much time on dealing with the transition to being, the guy that's in charge of all the on-field duties, plus trying to put together a package with Sam Jackson that was awesome. That was so much fun to watch, that creativity using Sam Jackson. Also trying to figure out how to get the ball in the best player's hands over and over and over. He did a wonderful job of that, I think. But what I think is that took so much capital in terms of his time last week. He really didn't have any more time to build in the down-to-down aspect of what this offense needs moving forward. So what I'm looking forward to is, moving forward, now that things have settled down, now that you have the Sam Jackson packages in, now that that's on film, what I really think Coach Meacham's going to be able to do this week, instead of putting all that neat, fun stuff in, the extra stuff that he put in last week, instead of doing that, what I think you're going to see, the improvement you're going to see this week. So I give all of that negative spiel to say this. What I think you're going to see in the improvement of the offense this week is just the base offense for Oklahoma State is going to be better, okay? Which, if you want to win any games from now on, the base offense to this, the down-to-down, how are you going to run the ball on a non-trick play? How are you going to get 6 or 7 yards and make it 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4 on a down-to-down basis when you're not running trick plays? That's the aspect of the offense that I look to improve this week at Arizona. Coach Meacham, I've said I think he's going to be a tremendous offensive coordinator. I think he'll be even better with Haas Haney. I'll go as far to say if Haas Haney is healthy and he comes back, I think we saw with Sam Jackson, and he has a mobile quarterback. I think by about week 9 or week 10, there will be at least some people at Oklahoma State that will be saying, hey, how in the hell do we keep Doug Meacham, right? I mean, because I like this dude. I like his energy. I like the way he calls plays. I like his creativity. And I like the way, here's what I like about Coach Meacham, okay? And I've had so many coaches tell me this. Don't think plays, think players. And so what Coach Meacham did yesterday or last week, and in my opinion, this was the process for him. He sat down and he went, what players do we have? Who are the players that need to be getting the ball? And how can we get them the ball in the most creative way? So, some coaches, they put together plays, and then whoever, it's like a motion offense in basketball, and then however the defense rotates, that dictates who gets the ball. Fine. That's great whenever you have the amount of talent on offense Oklahoma State's had in several different years in the past. But when you're OSU right now, and you only have a handful of playmakers, if that, you got to sit down and figure out how to get those playmakers the ball in their hands over and over and over without the defense really just figuring out what you're doing. Sam Jackson, he did a wonderful job of figuring out how to make Sam Jackson extremely effective. Gavin Freeman, we've been saying this all year, okay? Just go back to the receipts. This is a dude. Gavin Freeman is a dude, okay? We've been telling you all year how good Rodney Fields is. Rodney Fields is a dude. I mean, he's like a Andre Richardson, one of those type. Really, really, really good running back. I mean, Gerald Hudson, that's kind of who he reminds me of, is Gerald Hudson. That type of guy. Not, great overall just foot speed whenever he gets out in the open, but extremely quick, extremely shifty. He can get through small little slivers in the line to get, even though you don't think he's very big, so you don't think he's be good between the tackles. But a lot of times those little guys are even better between the tackles because they can kind of make themselves small and sliver through smaller holes, where a guy like Trent Holland, he needs a bigger hole. Okay, so we've been saying that Rodney Fields is the dude, but he's going to be an even better dude if you can use Trent Holland to wear the defense down and give them a different look to kind of use as a battering ram. And then once they get used to that battering ram aspect, throw Rodney Fields out there, let him sliver around a little bit, and make that a really nice 1-2 combo. We've been saying that all year. Coach Meacham did a terrific job of making that 1-2 combo maximize what they're capable of. Okay, great job of getting Gavin Freeman involved. Great job of using Sam Jackson V, as Coach Meacham said, as a Swiss Army knife. And then also just really a great job of highlighting what Zane Flores can and can't do. I just thought the way that Zane Flores was used yesterday was absolutely awesome. And I'll say this, whatever plays that Zane Flores didn't make, which were quite a few, he still throws the ball at the feet of some guys. I don't think he gets the ball out quick enough. On the thing about the bubbles and throwing the ball sideways is they work whenever you have a Brandon Whedon type guy that doesn't need to touch the laces, that can just literally grab the snap and throw the ball, and it's coming out like 150 miles an hour. So it's out to that bubble guy like in a split second. If you have a guy that needs to wind up a little bit like Zane Flores does, then it doesn't come out hot, then it's not at the right trajectory. By the time the receiver catches it, you've lost a half a step. And in football, one thing you don't have is time. And so I don't think Zane Flores is great at the sideways game right now. I don't think he throws a great deep ball, but there are things that he can do. And of the things that he can do, I thought Coach Meacham just totally understood what he can and can't do. So for about 90% of what Coach Meacham did yesterday, with the talent that he's given in the situation, you can pay somebody $100 million to become the offensive coordinator, and you're not going to get better than what Coach Meacham gave Oklahoma State yesterday for a large part of it. But I'm going to hold higher standards because I've been telling you all year how much I like Coach Meacham. He's better than even what he showed yesterday. I just don't think he had the time to get to the consistency piece. He spent all of his time on the fun, explosive aspect of what Oklahoma State's offense needed to be Saturday. There's just not enough hours in the day last week for him to get to the consistency piece. So this week, I think the key, I've said this now a couple times, is for Coach Meacham to get to find a set of not plays. So what he worked on last week was plays. What handful or two of plays can we put in that's going to create success, that's going to create fun? Now this week, he needs to back up and he needs to find concepts that can be built on that will lead to down success, because this defense is terrible, okay? And hey, if you're one of the defenders, if you're Coach Grantham, if you're Coach Osborne, or whoever any of the defensive coaches are, and you don't like that comment, then get better, because this defense is terrible, okay? And maybe the defense will get better as the season goes on. Let's hope. But the best defense this offense can play or the best defense that this team can have is an offense that did what they did in the first half and possessed the ball almost the entire game. So the only way to do that, it's not through big plays, through the trick plays, okay? It's through first down and 10, second down and 6, third down and 2, first down. First down and 10, second down and 4, third down and 1, first down. And the next thing you know, you're going on 8-9 minute drives. And the other team, A, is their offense isn't on the field. B, your defense is getting a lot of rest. And then C, because the other team's offense isn't on the field a lot, it's hard for them to gather a rhythm, right? And so that's the best defense this team can have. That's the element of this game moving forward that Coach Meacham, in my opinion, is going to have to master if we want to move beyond the, hey, that was fun. Hey, that was better. Hey, I'm proud of the presentation, but we didn't win. That's what's going to happen if we want to move from that stage of things to actually winning games, which, hey, OSU fans, Cowboy fans, this is the exciting part of this, okay? There are winnable games moving forward, okay? So what this program needs to do, it needs to win the games that it is physically capable of winning. It needs to continue to put a great presentation out there. We need to continue to show up like we did yesterday, okay? I mean, yesterday's crowd, was it full? No. But it was awesome. Hey, Oklahoma State fans, standing ovation. You loyal and true Cowboy fans out there are awesome. Absolutely awesome. Now, you really don't think Coach Meacham didn't appreciate that? He told you point blank how much it meant to him to see people that appreciated what this team was doing. You matter. We matter. These kids showed you on Saturday that they want to fight. These kids showed you on Saturday they want to scratch, they want to claw, they want to continue to uphold the Oklahoma State Cowboy football brand. And they also showed you, then they told you that they want to do it for you. Okay? Congratulations on that. That's why we've been telling you this entire time that if you're not coming because of this or that, because you're pissed at this or that, just don't do that. Come to the games. Create the environment to where the players want to please you, where they're thankful because fans are showing them support, and then you'll continue to get what you got yesterday, and hopefully this team can continue to build off of that. But could not be other than, hey, I went through my demons in the back of my head in terms of some of the parts of the offense I just didn't think were good at all. I want to address that. I think it's very important. Okay, you can't just be a cheerleader, right? But I'm gonna finish my football talk as far as the offense goes by saying very proud of you, Coach Meacham. It's obvious he's an alum. It's obvious that it means a lot to him to coach here, and job well done on week 1. Okay. Here's another thing, and this is a little bit more negative. If you're going to climb a mountain, it's more dangerous coming back down than it is going up. Okay. So the key here is, are you going to be able to sustain the type of momentum and the type of excitement that you created yesterday? I'm going to say this point blank. I would run through a wall for Coach Meacham. This is the type of coach that has a bottom line like, hey, dude, get your crap together, right? He is able to have that tough conversation, but he's able to do it in a way to where you feel like he's telling you for your best interest. He's not trying to just dog you and put you in a frame of mind to where you can't function or this or that. He's trying to do it in a way that motivates you, right? I would run through a wall for Coach Meacham. I would run through a wall for that man that I saw in the post game yesterday. I would run through a wall for the head coach that I saw that put the game plan together yesterday. I would run through a wall for the guy that I saw on the sidelines enjoying the process of the game with the players. I would run through a wall for that guy, okay? And so I say that to say I think these players will continue to run through a wall for Coach Meacham. And so we have a great opportunity to capitalize on that. Get this thing course corrected until we can win some games, until we can get the next thing going into this program, and then make Oklahoma State football great again. As far as the defense goes, okay, Coach Grantham, you got to get your shit going, man. We got to get this figured out. Pardon my French. I shouldn't have said that. But my God, that's what that deserves. Okay, I mean, that defense has better players than the way it is performing, okay? Get it together, okay? The comment of maybe we're too complicated, maybe we're too this, maybe we're too that, okay? Those excuses are gone, okay? There are no guardrails on what you're doing right now. There are no guardrails. Coach Meacham is not even in position to even evaluate what you're doing defensively, okay? You are the head coach of the defense, Coach Grantham. This is on your shoulders, okay? You're better than this, okay? You can't continue to put your safeties in run-pass conflict to where all Baylor has to do is fake a run, and your safeties come up, fit the run, then they throw it over the top. You can't continue to have wide nines and three techs or four eyes, whatever you want to call them, which gives the tackle the ability to block down on your three tech long enough for the guard to hook your three tech. Then the tackle climbs to the linebacker, H-back pulls around and kicks your wide nine, and now you have a really good running back getting 8 yards because schematically you just absolutely just gave them 8 yards that they really didn't even have to do anything for, okay? That's pitiful. The defense is pitiful, man. The run defense is pitiful. The way you're getting beat over the top is pitiful. The way we're tackling is pitiful. And I'm going to say this, okay? You can say I'm negative, think whatever. I don't care, okay? It's a fact. That defense is pitiful, okay? And if you don't want to think so, rewatch the tape. The schematics of it are pitiful. The execution of it are pitiful. And I'm going to say this. I say that to say the talent on this defense is not pitiful. I mean, do you have the talent level of the University of Georgia? I don't know. Probably not. I mean, I don't know, right? Again, probably not. But you have better talent than what you showed yesterday. You have better talent than what you showed against Tulsa. I mean, there were flashes yesterday that were okay. You have better talent than this. You have coaches that know more football than this. You don't have guardrails on, okay? Figure out, first and foremost, figure out what you have to do to stop the other team's running game, okay? 2 things. We talk about, the presentation, regardless of what happens. So here's what's happening to Oklahoma State. You're giving the other team whatever they want running the ball. You're giving the team everything over the top. You're getting beat deep. And then every time it's 2nd and 20, you're also giving up a 12-yard hitch in the middle of the field. So let me ask you this. What the hell are you taking away? What part of what the other team's offense is doing? So if the other team is 2nd and 20 and they need 12 yards, you're giving them 12 yards, okay? If the other team needs a big play, you're giving them a big play over the top. If it's first down and the other team wants to get ahead of the chains, you're giving them 6 yards on first down. You're giving other teams' offenses everything they need to A, stay on schedule, B, get themselves out of a big hole, and then C, create big plays whenever they need to create big plays like Baylor did coming out of the second half yesterday. So my advice is let's start here. Let's take something away. So do you guys remember the 1998 Oklahoma State-Nebraska game? Nebraska was coming off their national championship. Oklahoma State was coming off their Alamo Bowl bid. It was in Kansas City, okay, at Arrowhead Stadium, and Oklahoma State lost that game, okay? Very, very close game. Goal line stand at the end. Absolutely awesome game. You want to know what Oklahoma State did that day? They stopped Nebraska from running the ball, okay? The reasons why we beat Texas in the past, we stopped them from running the ball. Even before we started beating Texas, like in the early 2000s and even late 1990s, we would stop Texas from running the ball, okay? So stop something, okay? Stop something. If we can just start right here, stop the other team's running game, and then eliminate the big plays. If they hit the intermediate plays and go down the field running 8-yard hitches, okay. I mean, there is a certain amount of defense to where You can't take away everything, but let's at least take away something. Let's not give them 6 yards on first down, big plays every time they need one, and then also 12 yards when it's 2nd and 20 after a couple of bad penalties they got. Let's take away something. The talent is there to do that, at least to a better extent than what we've seen. Coach Grantham has the knowledge of X and O's better than to allow this to happen. Coach Osborne, the rest of the group, better than this, point blank. Y'all are better than this. I don't know how else to say it. I don't want to be overly negative, but I still want to just speak my mind on that. You can disagree with that all you want. But unless Oklahoma State starts playing defense that allows this offense, this offense is going to have some 3 and outs. It's just not talented not to. You're going to get off schedule. You're going to have a penalty. You're going to have this or that or whatever. Zane may throw one that hey, you had something open and he didn't make a right throw. You might have a drop or you might have a missed block. That's going to happen, okay? So this defense has got to be good enough to where at least the offense doesn't have to be perfect to stay in games, which that's where we're at right now. So, hey, those are my thoughts on, I'll tell you what, I really enjoyed seeing a head coach on the sidelines giving some emotion and firing his players up, also getting excited with them. Hey, that is Dustin Archambault. That is absolutely awesome. Wes, thank you so much for your wonderful comments. You can't bring a whole new staff and 60 new kids and stuff just work all of a sudden. Yeah, absolutely, Wes. Thank you so much for joining. Again, just wanted to get a live in, wanted to give my raw thoughts. I don't think I'm wrong on any of those thoughts. I have not rewatched the game. I don't think I'm going to. If I am, fine. That's kind of the old Gundy thing. He gives his original thoughts based on what he saw from the first go of it. And then Monday, typically speaking, he comes back and either says whether he was right or whether he was wrong. So we have a wonderful crowd logged in. Yes, defense got 4 stops in a row and we gained 0 yards. That's part of the complimentary aspect of it. That's, hey, when your defense just seems like good teams, what they do is they got the I got you, bro part of the deal. Like, hey, this part of the offense, especially like think of an offense in baseball. Let's say the top of the lineup didn't come through on one night. Well, then it needs to be the middle of the lineup. Let's say the middle lineup didn't come through, then the bottom of the lineup needs to manufacture 2 or 3 runs. That's like the biggest complaint of Josh Holliday offenses is like if the top and middle of your lineup don't hit home runs and slug, then it seems like we go from scoring like 12 runs in one game to 0 in the next because there's not the execution piece in the winning baseball plays. I get that part of it. I understand all of that. Okay, and so I think that's why you're going to be very excited about this year's team. We're going to get into the baseball part of this here in a minute. So yes, Wes, the complimentary part of what Oklahoma State did yesterday, it wasn't good. And part of that is because the defense was so bad and only good in like one little stretch of the game that they're just the percentages of that of playing complimentary football are so low when your defense only has a small stretch of the game where they're actually any good at all, that it just you would have to have your offense match up at that exact same time to gain ground, which that's why Oklahoma State never was able to gain ground. But again, a lot better, but you were exactly right, Wes. The complimentary aspect of yesterday, there wasn't any, and so the way that you create, complimentary football is great, but really it's kind of a buzz term because what complimentary means is consistency. So just switch complimentary from consistency, because if your defense is consistently good and your offense is consistently good, then just by those odds, they're going to play complimentary football, period. End of discussion. If you have a really talented top of your lineup, a middle of your lineup that slugs, and a bottom of your lineup in baseball that knows how to bunt, run, hit behind runners, steal bases, and execute winning baseball plays. If you have that lineup and you create consistency, and then you have pitchers that attack the zone, throw strikes, that know how to throw to parts of the zone that don't get ambushed, and then also gather strikeouts, and they do all that consistently, then it's going to seem like you're always playing complimentary football. Whereas if you have an offense that's just kind of one of those boomer bust deals to where one day it's 12 runs, the next day it's 0. Your pitchers don't throw strikes. They're doing this. we see that quite a bit with the baseball team in the periods of the years where they're not playing well. Then, the windows are so small where both aspects are playing well that the complementary piece just isn't going to be there. So that's a great comment there, Wes, in terms of teams playing complementary football. I would change that terminology from complementary to consistent, because I think consistent creates complementary. So that's kind of where I'm at there. Those are my thoughts on the game yesterday. One last time, thank you, Coach Meacham, for the wonderful, I'm going to say it, I'm going to use this word over and over, presentation that you gave Oklahoma State fans yesterday. What we have been asking for beyond anything else is for hope. And whenever you see, like with the comments we've had, when you see the excitement of Coach Meacham on the field, right, and you see him having fun and the kids having fun with him and doing all of that, that gave Oklahoma State fans hope. And for that, thank you very much. Wonderful, wonderful job yesterday from those aspects. Still not good enough. Not going to let you off the hook. Not good enough. We are capable of beating Baylor at home yesterday. We have good enough players to do that. So even from a coaching perspective, both offense and defense, you left meat on the bone in that meat up. Now, this team has to be almost perfect, but that possibility is out there to where I'm still going to say we are good enough to win that game yesterday. And I'm just going to hold you to that standard. You can agree or disagree with that. And I mean that in the most loving and positive way that I possibly can. So, hey, let's get to our baseball aspect of it. I'm going to the baseball scrimmage again today. Went to the scrimmage before the game yesterday, so I want to get into the baseball action. Not as much videos yesterday as we had the day before. That's Garrett Scholl hitting there. But this is a good look at Zane Burns. Okay, so Zane Burns played in Chandler last year, and he actually helped his team win the state title for the first time in 16 years. Played alongside, I think the last name is Brookside. Don't quote me on that name. But the number one pitcher coming out of Arizona last year went to Texas. Zane Burns was he was maybe like the second or third best considered right-hander coming out of Arizona last year. This is a big get, okay, for Oklahoma State. He played a lot of outfield again. This is the theme for Coach Holliday. He likes to go back to the well and get players from areas and coaches that he's gotten great players from before. Okay, that's one. He likes multi-sport athletes because once you get them into, just a single sport in college, the ceiling, the growth aspect really grows their ceiling. And he loves the multi-athlete, the multi-facets of being a multi-sport athlete. The different competitive parts that it makes your mind have and those kinds of things. And then also you're an overall better athlete if you do that. So he likes multi-sport guys, and he loves to have guys that have size, which Zane Burns has, no doubt about that. And then he loves guys that come from winning programs. Hey, that's a great formula. That's a great recruiting formula. And literally, Zane Burns falls into all those categories. Played outfield, won a state title. He has size. He's from a hotbed he comes from a hotbed and a coach that's created so many different great players, and sending a right-hander to Texas as well. So unofficial, actually this is not unofficial. I've actually communicated with Zane, and I have this absolutely nailed down. 4-seam, 2-seam change, and then the 4-seam is in the 91 to 93 range. So there is a good look at Zane Burns there. Again, another freshman right-hander, super, super, super talented. Super excited about him. Again, helped his team win the 6A state title last year. Hey, that a boy Briggy used that left center field gap. Colin Brigham got a base hit to left center, and then kapow. The third home run of the fall for Colin Brigham. How about to left center? I had a chance to interview Colin Brigham, and he definitely said, hey, my timing, I'm trying to hit the ball to left center because that allows me to let the ball, it forces me to let the ball get a little bit deeper. And when I do that, usually the swing and miss gets tamed a little bit. That's been probably the one, if you would say, criticism of Briggy is he's had some boom or bust. And, he's had hot streaks and then cold streaks and hot streaks and cold streaks, which tend to come when you have swing and miss in your game. And so that idea of letting the ball get a little bit deeper, thinking the opposite field gap really, really, really helps you let the ball get deeper, which should help you with the swing and miss in your game. Hey, this is Ezra Essex right here. Hit a a bunt right here. He also had an inside the park home run. So actually, let me back that up. But let's go ahead and cover Ezra right now and back that up. I'll keep playing this. He had an in the park home run. So this is 4-2-2 to first base right here is. And if you notice, I want to back this up and see if I can stop it at the exact right moment. Watch, he bunts. If you watch, let me back that up. Now watch after he bunts the ball. Watch actually stops and sees it down right there. See how he actually, well, this isn't it. Wait, watch this. See how he actually looked at it first and then ran to first? So that slowed him down. Ezra still was a 4-2-2 to first base, which that's the average major league time to first base. That takes into account left-handers. And typically speaking, if you have to watch a bunt get down, that takes a little bit longer, right? So that tells me that Ezra Essex is capable of going below 4.0 to first base, which is incredibly elite speed. So super excited about Ezra Essex. And the pitcher you're seeing here, absolute wow. This is Parker Jennings, 6'4" young man that grew up in the, I believe, Modesto area, definitely California, but I think it's the Modesto area. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's the Modesto area. But then I transferred and went to the IMG Academy his senior year. First pitch out of Parker Jennings' hand, 97. Now, what I also want you to know this, the fastball you're seeing, 97. Okay, watch this curveball whenever he throws one here in a minute. His curveball just drops out of the sky. Look at that fastball right in the top of the zone. There's a little tail to it right there. That curveball, that thing, that one there, that thing drops out of the sky. I mean, it looks like a Randy Rutherford three-pointer from the Pistol Pete logo. So he has the big fastball, that one there. See that? That was wicked. Actually, let me back that up and see if I can give you another good look at that curveball. Actually, let me see. Let's see right here. If you can get that. Well, not that one. He threw a better one just in, I think here in a minute that you'll see. But anyway, so he has the big fastball. Then he has the just absolutely that one there, the three draining curveball. To me, whether he's going to be able to get Division I hitters out on a consistent level right now as a true freshman, can he bridge those two pitches? He does have a cutter. He has a changeup. But the cutter is going to be the big pitch for me because you can't just go from 97 to 77 because that's such a differential that hitters will be able to kind of reload, if you will, and then see spin and lay off of it, that kind of deal. So if he can, what I call have a bridge pitch, which would be that cutter, which is, and the changeup, which is something in between the big fastball and that big curveball, that's going to be the determining factor. Not if, because he's going to be a great pitcher at the college level if he stays healthy, but how fast. I think that's going to be the determining factor there. So I wanted to give you a good look there of Parker Jennings and his outing yesterday. And then, hey, Matthew Brown started. I'm not going to lie. Yesterday was not a great outing for Matthew Brown. He struggled to throw strikes. He got hit around a little bit. He threw a lot of off speed. But, hey, we know how good Matthew Brown was down the stretch. We know how he climbed that trust tree. And the thing I really like about Matt Brown is that he throws the ball in the zone. He has the amount of confidence to say, hey, you know what? My stuff is good enough. I'm just going to throw a strike with this, and I'm going to challenge. And, you know, one of the things that Oklahoma State fans got frustrated with Coach Walton was it seemed like our pitchers were never throwing strikes, and they were nibbling too much and this and that. Not with Matthew Brown. Matthew Brown just came in and said, here it is, and I don't think you can hit it because I'm going to bet on my own stuff. And so whenever you have a guy with that amount of confidence in his strike throwing stuff, you know, because one of the big things that happens to a young player is they go, oh man, these are Division I hitters. I have to trick them. I have to do something to make them not know what pitch is coming and this and that. No, you don't. Not when your stuff is as good as Matthew Brown. What you actually need to do is throw freaking strikes, make it a race to 2 strikes. And then once you get to 2 strikes, then all bets are off and you can do whatever you want in terms of throwing the strike to ball, swing and miss type pitches that you might have in your arsenal. So again, that's what I'm excited about with Matthew Brown. Not even remotely starting to get concerned about yesterday not being a great outing, but it is what it is. Okay, Danny Wallace, 3-2-1 liftoff. Let me back that up. This is a young man out of Nebraska. You know, one thing I've noticed is whenever you go get a young offensive player out of a colder environment, they tend to have flatter swings because to me, you know, if you have that that swing that creates the higher launch angles. See, let me back this up, and actually let me put this on a slower motion here so we can kind of take you through this. Let me do this, or give me just a second here, because I want to take you through just how flat his swing is. Watch this, minimal load. Now watch the path of his hands. Watch how flat his hands. See how flat his hands came through that zone. Let me back that up one more time. See if I can continue. We're going to slow it down right here. Okay, look how flat his hands are going to come at this baseball. See how flat his barrel is right here at the back of the zone. That barrel has not dumped yet. Now, what I want you to notice how flat his hands come through that zone. See how he comes flat across that? I've noticed that, like with Canadians, young men that come from colder environments, they have flatter swings. And my theory on that is if you're trying to play baseball in March and spring and it's 28 degrees outside and you're trying to lift the ball, good luck on that. So whoever taught Danny Wallace how to hit, absolute job well done. Because I'll say this, he has a very flat swing. He has a swing that to me looks like is geared to hit the ball to the gaps, and it's very line drive oriented. And because of that, I think he's going to gather a lot of hits. Very impressed with just his overall approach of how he goes about trying to hit the ball. So, hey, Avery Ortiz had another good day. Big part of the field, Aves. That a boy. Not directly up the middle, but you can tell he's thinking up the middle. And isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing when you're thinking up the middle and you're thinking line drive, that's actually when the home runs come. It's amazing how that works. And Avery Ortiz, again, thinking up the middle yesterday, thinking line drive. Then actually after he gets his first base hit up the middle, then that's when he actually hits the home run. So it's amazing to me how that actually works out time and time again. Great job, Aves. More cowbell, please. That's what we need out of you. And you talk about more cowbell. Oklahoma State, we said, hey, Josh Holiday likes to go back to his well. Well, how about Gage Albright, who comes from Choctaw? Yes, Gabe Davis, the same high school that he's from, and then also the same high school that Coach Hawk, Shane Hawk, is the head coach of. Shane Hawk, if you remember, was put into the all-decade team from the decade of 2000 to 2010. Gage Albright, another Choctaw Yellow Jacket here, a freshman, 6'2" lefty, 4-point student. And I can tell you, in today's day and age, with all the TrackMan data and the analytics that go into things, being a student of the game is more important now than it ever has been. And I guarantee you that 4-point Coach Hawk teaches great humans before he does baseball players. I'll promise you Coach Hawk had a big part in that 4-point for this freshman left-hander, Gage Albright, 6'2". And so it's exact mixed two-seam, 90-ish range. So the fastball you're seeing here, 90 with a left turn to it, sweeper, a sweeping slider, and then a changeup. So that is Gage Albright, a freshman lefty. And so from a freshman lefty to a very, very, very experienced lefty, Brennan Phillips, who kind of like Matthew Brown, has experience, did not have a great day yesterday. But I'll say this, he was communicating with Coach Hawksworth quite a bit. So I really think that, hey, one thing that we know about the scrimmage season is this is where everybody can be very process-oriented. So guys, you never know when a guy's working on a new pitch, he's working on a new location, a new grip, and they don't even know who the hitter is. They're not game planning to throw to the heat maps of a hitter or whatever. They're just throwing the ball south into locations and in ways that are all about what needs to happen for them to get better, okay? So the process part of that, you never know what happens. And so that's why fall is so important, because guys like Brendan Phillips can add a pitch or a grip, or they can do this or that, and they don't have to worry about the results because it doesn't lead to winning or losing. And because of that, they can work on just getting better, if you will, the process aspect of that. And we never know what it is that day that each individual is actually concentrating on and trying to get better at that. So that was kind of the day. That's kind of the way I evaluated Brendan Phillips and Matthew Brown's day yesterday. Just trying to work on, a couple of things. We don't know what they are, and just trying to get better from the process aspect of it. Hey, this is TP Wentworth. Very impressive young man. This is a young man that went to Clemson and then came to Oklahoma State. If you remember, the last guy that went to Clemson out of high school, that ended up at Oklahoma State? Yes, that would be one Mr. Justin Robleski. Robo is a big part of the Los Angeles Dodgers bullpen now and doing very well with Los Angeles Dodgers. So that Clemson-Oklahoma State connection has been good before. Wentworth is a guy that can pitch, and he plays right field. I believe he hit like in the 220 range, had about 9 innings on the bump last year for Clemson. So this is kind of in the category of toolsy. Hey, does Oklahoma State want to use him in the outfield? Do they want to use him to pitch? If you remember the last guy Oklahoma State had in that category, Nolan McClain, they chose to play Nolan McClain as a position player, and now Nolan McClain is what some people say the ace of the New York Mets. And if they make the playoffs, which I would have to look, but I know they were in the lead of the wild card last time I checked in the National League for that last wild card spot. Probably gets the ball in game 1. That was Nolan McClain. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Cowboys do with T.P. Wentworth. Do they play him in right field? There's a lot of depth in that outfield, man. You got Alex Conover, you got Garrett Scholl, you got Colin Ritchie, there's just a million different people that you can put, and then you got all these young guys. So there's a lot of competition in the outfield, and the pitching staff. Hey, there's a lot of talent there, but there's question marks there too. So it'll be interesting to see what Josh and Coach Hawksworth and these guys decide to do with T.P. Wentworth. But again, 6'5", very toolsy. He looks very good. Swing is good. Very smooth. Good athlete. Interesting to see what the coaches end up deciding to do with T.P. Wentworth. And then also Garrett Scholl had another good day yesterday. Right-handed cut. Pow. This guy just needs to stay healthy, and he needs to continue just to grind, because big time tools for the young man out of Enid. We talked about how Gage Albright played for, the Shane Hawk, who was in the All-Decade team from 2000 to 2010. This young man, Garrett Scholl, played for Brad Gore at Enid, and Brad Gore was inducted into the Oklahoma State Hall of Fame. So, hey, 2 legacy guys right there. So that's going to do it for today's show. I hope you enjoyed the baseball coverage. I hope I didn't get too opinionated on the football side of things to turn you off a little bit there. But, hey, those are just my opinions. That's what we do here. And hey, so I hope you enjoyed today's show. And I really, really, really appreciate you stopping by today's live show. So until next time, I want to thank you for tuning in and say, go Pokes.